Just another band from East LA? No, folks, they're just being modest. After nearly 25 years, Los Lobos just keep on playing the music that's true to their roots.
We knew that the nightclub thing wasn't for us because that was just, copy bands, becoming like, sort of a jukebox or something, So we always were kind of like on the fringe of things happening in East LA, we just played what we enjoyed playing.
Have you met the man they call the father of Chicano music? Well, don't go away. Lalo Guerrero will take you through some 60 years of his music, making history in the Southwest.
Of Mexico, from the Colorado Rockies to the border down below. I've touched so many people in my 60 years in music.
And have you heard about the band with the puro party attitude? We'll explain what that means when you meet the one and only Dr. Loco and his rockin' jalapeno band. Each year, on the eve of September 16th, the independence of what used to be New Spain is celebrated in Mexico and here in the Southwest. It's a day that marks the overthrow of nearly 300 years of Spanish colonial rule.
Today on Vista LA, we celebrate Mexican Independence Day with those who have cultivated its music. We begin with a man who has been called the father of Chicano music, the one and only Lalo Guerrero.
He is the first who brought American swing into Spanish language with the songs that he wrote in the 40s, the Pachuco songs. He was the first to do so many things like that. He really brought the two cultures together.
A celebration of Lalo Guerrero's music was recently performed at UCLA's Freud Playhouse in a musical show named after the song that he composed almost 60 years ago, Canción Mexicana.
To the father of Chicano music, Canción Mexicana, a celebration of the music of Lalo Guerrero, we proclaim this your day on behalf of the County of Los Angeles.
The show was produced by his son, Dan Guerrero.
O Canción Mexicana, which is practically an anthem to our people, he wrote when he was 17 years old, still living in Tucson, Arizona.
I started singing Mexican music because my mother taught me to play guitar, and she sang only in Spanish because she didn't know English.
Those who know him consider him a folk hero. His musical career spans 6 decades and consists of various music styles. His compositions have been recorded by Lola Beltran, Javier Solis, and other great Mexican artists.
I think that when you look at the issue of Mexican Americans, Chicanos on both sides of the border, and especially in terms of a particular artist who has used music to literally satirize and to characterize the Chicano culture in the United States, I would really have to say that Lalo Guerrero has to be considered a father of Chicano music.
But it was his parodies that he composed in the mid-50s that really made him a hit in the United States.
I love tortillas, and I love them dearly. You'll never know just how sincerely I love the corn ones, y también de harina. But when my wife calls out from la cocina, there's no tortilla, there's only bread.
at the height of his career, a recording career in the 50s. You know, he had 4 and 5 songs in the top 10, not just the U.S., but, you know, also Latin America. You know, Elvis Perez, a lot of those comedies, songs were very big. And he went to Mexico to try and get a career started there, but they just wouldn't. You know, some rumor got started that he was from Sonora. I don't know why. My grandma's from there, his mom, so maybe that was it. So that was great in the beginning. Then when he would correct people, say, well, no, actually, I was born in Tucson, Arizona, things would drastically change, and those contracts wouldn't get signed after all. It was a very, very odd experience, and very hurtful to him.
It's amazing that people like Lalo Guerrero, who is now about 79 years old, is so popular among young people. I'm continually bringing him to my classes at UCLA, and the young people just go nuts over him because his political satires in his music, for example, many of his songs are about immigration, songs like No Way Jose. He's also got songs about voting, you know, for Latinos to go out and vote.
Wake up, Chicanos, wake up, let's get involved. Wake up, you sleeping giants, we'll get our problem solved. No more mañana syndrome, don't sit around and mope. We're gonna get the hell out and register and vote.
In his 60 years of documenting the history of Mexican Americans, Lalo Guerrero has never held back from telling the truth of his people's struggles, their sorrow,
Viejo barrio, barrio viejo, solo en lugares parejos, donde un día hubo casa, donde vivió nuestra raza.
their humor.
Reinalda, Reinalda, ya quítate tu minifalda, que cuando bailas a coco, y se te levanta la espalda.
Their common identity,
Yo soy chicano, señores, nací al lado americano.
and their frustrations and concerns.
I think that I shall never see any Chicanos on TV. It seems as though we don't exist, and we're not ever even missed. And yet we buy and buy their wares, but no Chicanos anywhere.
He was brave enough, for example, to go and write a song for the farm workers and to let them have it as their theme song. And that took, I think, courage, because at that time, nobody knew what it was going to do. How was it going to affect your ability to get into the mainstream again, to cut a record, you know, not to be looked down upon as a Chicano, a word that at one time had these derogatory meanings, even to many Mexicans, you know.
You came to one of our conventions, and you were always there with us. So it was no surprise when in those dark days of the struggle of the 60s, when we were out there on strike, who would have ever thought that Lalo knew what we were about, he knew what we were doing, y salió con su canción to celebrate and to commemorate our struggle.
Año del 65, 66, más o menos. Se levantó nuestra gente en los campos del Deleno.
We want to present this small token of recognition to Mr. Lalo Guerrero for all these beautiful songs. And because it is true that in Mexico, we still don't understand the Mexican community, the Mexican American community in the United States. But we are trying to do it, we are learning, and I hope that we are going to learn pretty soon because it is necessary also for Mexico. Eso es lo más importante.
I would like people to remember him, I guess, as a man who loved his people, who loved his culture, and celebrated it his entire life. I think that's a really important legacy.
Next up, Los Lobos.
Para bailar
It's been nearly 25 years since a group of young musicians who love playing rock and roll and Mexican music got together and decided to form a band. Little did they know that all these years later, they'd be doing a lot more than playing local weddings and parties.
They say they're just another band from East Los Angeles, but anyone who has followed their music knows they're one of the city's most prized musical groups. We're talking about the pride of East LA, Los Lobos.
There's a certain image that people have of East LA. You know, unfortunately, a lot of them aren't positive. I think the media has kind of perpetuated this idea of like, you know, switchblades and bandanas, but you know, East LA was certainly like a place that just like any other place in America where, you know, where an ethnic group kind of, you know, sort of hangs together. I don't think we've ever written the narrative song, the song about East LA. I think it's all in there from our experience.
They are come from the same time period, 25 years, give or take. Plaza was founded over 25 years ago, and Los Lobos were discovering their new sound. Just another band from East LA, just about that, a little past that period, about, you know, about 73 or so.
I do remember Louis Perez and Conrad Lozano. Mostly Louis. We had a big couple of classes together, and then we would sort of hang out here, out in the front.
Throughout the late 60s and 70s, David Hidalgo, Louis Perez, Conrad Lozano, and Cesar Rosas all attended Garfield High School in East LA.
It's not like we sat down and said, hey, let's make a band. It was just like sitting around like this interview, you know?
Yeah.
We were just sitting around and talking about stuff, and we were pretty much already
We were in the same business of promoting cultura, promoting culture.
From the beginning, Los Lobos were not interested in producing a top 40 sound. Instead, they wanted to incorporate rock, rhythm, and blues into the Mexican music they grew up hearing. The result is a unique sound that no other group has been able to duplicate.
They came up with this idea that they could start mixing their Mexican music, whether it was a jarocho son or a accordion norteño kind of thing, with a lot of the old R&B and rock that they used to do, whether it was James Brown or the Rolling Stones or blues.
By the window, staring out at the night.
In 1978, Los Lobos released their first album, Just Another Band from East LA. 4 years later, saxophonist Steve Berlin joined the band. In 1984, Los Lobos released their breakthrough album, Will the Wolf Survive? But it was in 1987, when the soundtrack to the movie La Bamba came out, that sent the group to the top of the nation's charts.
But staying true to their convictions, Los Lobos continued to put out another 6 albums that did not have the same top 40 music. Certainly this would have guaranteed them a very lucrative future. They stayed true to their artistic vision and continued to write and arrange original music. Now 3 Grammys and several movie scores later, album number 10, Colossal Head, has been released. The album clearly has a mix of all their musical influences, including punk rock, Mexican traditional rhythms, rock and roll, and R&B grooves.
a lot of the postmodernist scholars look at groups like Los Lobos as the real new wave because they're not afraid to go south of the border for an idea. They're not afraid to go to old rock and roll, to jazz, to country, you know, and to fuse it all in whatever they think is creative.
We didn't set out to do anything but just to kind of hang out with each other and enjoy each other's company and play music together. We didn't.
We did that for 10 years, and then we realized that, hey, somebody's hitting us up to do a, you know, get a record contract, you know. Yeah. We didn't realize 10 years had passed by and we had such a great time.
Next up, the one and only Dr. Loco and his Rockin' Jalapeno Band. Meet anthropology professor Jose Cuellar, the man they call Dr. Loco. Obviously, he isn't your typical college professor. Few, if any, professors travel around the country playing party music that's usually performed at Chicano weddings. But for the last 8 years, when Professor Cuellar is not teaching anthropology at San Francisco State University, he's playing with his band, Dr. Loco and his Rockin' Jalapeno Band. Those that have heard Dr. Loco and his band know them for their, quote, puro party attitude. That's a party attitude at 100%.
And so that this energy that we create or that we regenerate, we hope that will touch people so that when they leave, they'll feel peaceful, joyful, and tired. We hope their feet hurt and that their clothes, they go, wow, man, I haven't danced so much, I haven't partied so much in so long.
1, 2, 3, 4.
A native of San Antonio, 55-year-old Jose Cuellar has been teaching anthropology at various California universities over the last 20 years. He always enjoyed playing the saxophone, but it was while teaching at Stanford University in the late 80s that he got the idea of starting a band.
I had seen all these talented students around Stanford, and I began to wonder, gee, I wonder if I could put together a band that would play this whole range of music of different decades, different generations, different regions. Tejano music, Southern Cal, Northern Cal, Dixieland, Zydeco, all of the different influences that come into our culture.
3 albums later, Dr. Loco and his highly educated band, of whose members all hold various degrees and full-time jobs on the side, are well received in Los Angeles. And they're a sure sellout at Plaza de la Raza in Lincoln Park.
Los Lobos, I mean, are tremendous inspiration to us. The Salas brothers who work with Tierra, Malo, Santana, Pires Corrido, Conjunto Céspedes, Little Joey La Familia. I mean, we could name Lalo Guerrero. Of course, our first album was dedicated to Lalo, and you know, it's on every album I think we've always had something that reflects the influence of Lalo Guerrero. So yes, we gratefully acknowledge all of our precursors and our contemporaries who continue to influence our music.
Eccentric, energetic, eclectic, and altruistic, Dr. Loco and his Rockin' Jalapeno Band do not hide the fact that they are committed to the community that loves their music.
Well, we play a lot of benefits. About probably 50% of the gigs that we do are performances for nonprofits. We are a multicultural community that welcomes all of these different influences, whether it's the German polka or the Cuban salsa or the Colombian cumbia. It becomes part of us and part of our culture.
Dr. Loco says more people are enjoying Latino music, and that gives him hope for the future.
the tremendous, tremendous change and tremendous movement for the better, for the positive, for having us understand one another and share with one another the riches of the cultures that we bring to this country.
Well, we certainly hope that you've enjoyed Vista LA's show on Chicano music as we celebrate Mexican Independence Day.
And now we leave you with a group that certainly knows how to play party music, or as they like to call it, Puro Party. So here he is once again, Dr. Loco and his Rockin' Jalapeno Band. Take it away, Doc.
Ponte tus shiny calcos pa' camellar por los vatos, para escarbar potatoes, para piscar tomatoes. I'm talking about me now. My former students at SFSU call me Professor Cuellar. But we're partying with Plaza de la Raza in East LA. Y'all can call me Dr. Loco. With a Rockin' Jalapeno Band.